Hello and welcome to the Multi-Story Thinking Podcast. This is a special Clerkenwheels series, a set of conversations that sit at the intersection of design, movement, inclusion and collective action. Clerkenwheels is a multi-day cycle ride that brings together designers, thinkers, educators and allies to raise funds and awareness for United in Design, supporting outreach programs to help open up the built environment professions to people from underrepresented backgrounds. Along with my friend Tom Bourne, we're riding from the University of Plymouth to Clerkenwell Design Week from the 15th to the 19th of May. But Clerkenwheels is about more than cycling. It's about who gets to participate, whose voices are heard, and how we design systems, spaces and cultures that are genuinely more inclusive. Across this series, we'll be speaking with people who are supporting the ride, hosting stop-offs, sponsoring the event, riding alongside us, or simply sharing ideas that challenge how we think about design, access and impact. You don't need to be a cyclist to be part of the conversation, just curious, thoughtful and open to change. So whether you're listening as a designer, educator, business leader, student or supporter, welcome. Kay Hanson is the Plymouth Studio Director of HLM Architects. She heads up a multidisciplinary team who work across architecture, interior design, landscape architecture and sustainability sectors. HLM are keen advocates of social value and delivering thoughtful, transformative places that support communities, our planet and each other. HLM are supporting the Clerkenwheels ride with a Grand Depart networking event to send us off on day one of our ride. In this episode, we discover Kay's career trajectory from HLM to teaching and back, the importance of diversity and neurodiversity in architecture and interior design, how outreach programs can help to promote careers in the built environment, and why, if you really don't want to, it's okay to say no. It's lovely to see you, and thanks very much for joining this special edition of the Multi-Story Thinking Podcast, the Clerkenwheels edition. I just was thinking that you're now working at HLM, and when I first met you many years ago, you were working at HLM. You've come sort of full circle with some teaching at the University of Plymouth in between. Can you just give us a kind of summary of what you're doing now, and also a little bit of the overall trajectory of your?
Oh, I started back in 2002 at HLM Architects, back in the Sheffield studio, and it was my second role, but it's kind of where I learned my trade. That's where I met great friends and mentors and remained friends actually through the time that I wasn't with HLM. I moved from the Sheffield studio to the Plymouth studio in 2013 and set up the interiors department there, but sadly the studio closed 2018 and kind of relocated all of its services back up into Cardiff. And I took the opportunity at that point, I think that's probably when, just after we met, and then I set up my own practice, Studio Kid, which was interior design practice, and then I started working alongside you at the university, and also did a stint at University of Plymouth as well. And probably around 6 months ago, HLM Architects got back in touch with me and they were keen to set up the studio once again on the back of some significant projects down in the region, and they wanted to explore the opportunity of setting up the studio again and asked me to come back, which I obviously delightedly accepted, and it's been really fantastic actually ever since. I've really enjoyed it. We set up the studio in Alma Yard in Plymouth in January, and the team's growing nicely. We're up to 7 from 2 weeks' time. We'll be up to 7. So we've got a team of architects, interiors, landscape architects, technologists, marketing, and it's fantastic. We're starting to gain traction and win some projects, and yeah, it's great. It's nice to be back in the HLM team, although I do miss teaching.
Well, speaking from experience of working with you, you were a very good and very popular member of staff, both with your colleagues and also the students. They used to all rave about you, which made me feel a bit slightly insignificant sometimes. It was K this, K that. And so you obviously had a huge impact, which we really miss. But a lot of what you helped set up is still part of what we're teaching. I'm thinking about some of the projects like the neurodiversity HMO project you were leading on, and you had a big impact into the direction of the course, which we're really grateful for. But you've taken on the role now of building the HLM office, and recruitment, I guess, is a really important factor of that, of getting the right kind of staff, and also perhaps thinking about the balance of diversity and the mix of people you've got there. That must be part of the thinking of your kind of setup, I would guess.
It is, definitely. And we never would want to exclude anyone from our recruitment process. At the moment, I think we could be better. I think everyone could be better. And I guess that's why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah, it's a huge consideration when setting up the studio. And I think thinking back to teaching and how we adapted the course and the curriculum to include that richness of diversity. I think if we think back to the course when we first sort of started, there were some great subjects in there. There were some great sort of sectors that we were covering. But I think adding that extra layer of diversity and difference to the modules, I think really helped both our students to think differently, but to also think more inclusively as well, and to consider lots of different types of users. And I think that's really important in design, whether you're teaching, whether you're a student, or whether you're in practice. And that's something that I'm pretty passionate about myself personally, I think. But I think when we're looking at teaching from that level, and even before that, actually, it should be something that we're all considering and doing more to assist with, for sure.
Yeah, I think the kind of concept of diversity and inclusion hits at different levels, doesn't it? There's the recruitment element. There's also the approach to design.
Yeah.
And, the benefits of having a diverse set of students or designers is that you're developing the skills, I suppose, the diverse skills to deal with a diverse culture and a diverse sort of environment. So having those people coming through the system is really important. That was our kind of philosophy, I guess, wasn't it, in trying to attract a diverse range of students.
I think in terms of diversity as well, and neurodiversity, there are so many benefits to it. I don't know if you're familiar with the movement of dyslexic thinking, and I am, because I'm dyslexic, not severely so, and I don't have some of the challenges that many face, but I'm a keen follower of the movement, and it's kind of just helping people to think about different parts of the brain kind of work in different ways, and the benefits of actually being dyslexic can really outweigh some of the negativity around that, and how we think about space and how we understand space in a more intuitive perhaps to space. I think in our profession, especially currently, lots of people have lots of different diverse challenges. And I just think it brings a real richness, as you mentioned, to the projects that we're working on, and then the communities that we're delivering those projects in as well, to have that understanding.
I think I've witnessed that you've been very vocal in your introductions to the students about your dyslexia and how you've worked it into your approach, I suppose, in a way.
Mm.
And I guess that opens their eyes to the fact that there are people out there that may have the similar conditions and similar challenges, or make them think a bit more about what they're doing. So I think it's all good as a kind of environment, really, to encourage that. In terms of HLM, though, you were talking earlier before we started about their kind of approach to diversity and inclusion. It's more part of a bigger sort of piece, isn't it, within the organisation?
Absolutely. We've got at HLM, there's a team that promotes and pushes social value, cause and effect throughout the business. And I guess it covers many levels, really. It covers sort of projects effects of social value. We kind of offer a diverse range of services, architecture, interiors, like master planning, sustainable. And I think we have a sort of thoughtful design approach, which Ballas is ambitious to create better spaces for people and their environment and sort of design responsibilities and not losing sight of what kind of makes social architecture. We've got sort of practical guidelines in-house that helps project teams understand how their decisions at every stage of the project can kind of contribute to delivering meaningful social value. We're kind of monitored on that as well to make sure that we are at every step of the design process are considering our effect, and we're working directly with across projects and across studios as well to deliver against those expectations. Really, we need to be held account to make sure that we're delivering on that.
And with the fact that you've come back from being away from HLM, have you seen the landscape change from when you were there in your first stint to now? Is there a difference? There must be, obviously, a change.
I think there's a huge difference, and I think you could see that through the time that we were teaching together. There was a difference from when I first started teaching, and a difference in the understanding and kind of respect of diversity, I think, to now, even though there was short, sort of, how many years was it? I don't know, 8 years or whatever. There's definitely been development, but I think there still could be more.
I think there's been some key kind of moments. I mean, obviously COVID-19 became much more aware about individual circumstances, and that kind of window into people's lives that Zoom gave us helped you understand a bit more context about where people were from, what they had to challenge with, with kids running in the background or, stuck in a tiny little office. And then, so the kind of psychological impact of design and, became more apparent, as we were trying to grapple with radically changed environment. The work from United in Design stems from another challenge, the George Floyd incident and the Black Lives Matter, so you've got things from different areas, but I definitely think that there's a much greater understanding of diversity, inclusion in all the ways that it can be described across the industry, and certainly with what our students are interested in. They're no longer really interested in creating sort of super stylish, trendy stuff, whatever that is. Some of them still are, but there's a lot of people who are really focused on big issues, and that's what we were trying to promote in Plymouth, wasn't it? The big issues, global issues, how they play out locally, and having a real strong backbone to a project, not just around aesthetics and more about challenging behavior or designing for new behaviors or trying to improve conditions. That's been really rewarding to see develop, hasn't it, over the last, well, certainly from my perspective, setting up the course as we have, over the last few years. It's great to see that being a strong part of what the students are interested in.
I think so. I think it's been a huge shift. Like you say, I think a lot of the students have really got an element of social awareness and how as designers you can really make a difference to communities and the people that use the spaces in terms of well-being, in terms of, community engagement, inclusivity and accessibility. It's so important that we play our part in society in terms of all of those aspects, and sustainability, environmental, long term as well. Once we've left those projects, how does that affect the community that we're designing for? So yeah, it's crucial, and I think we've definitely seen a shift within our students, especially, and within the design community. I think it's becoming a lot more prominent than perhaps what it was. I think there are certain practices that I think have always had that to their backbone in terms of their cultural identity and what they're trying to achieve through their design and architecture practice.
And that's a strong element of HLM's ethos.
Absolutely. The culture at HLM has always been fantastic, and that's why for me it was just a no-brainer to say yes to go back, even though I had my own practice, and it was great working for yourself, but there are challenges to working for yourself, but the culture has always remained something that I was really fond of, and the social value and impact of the design that they did was always really important to me as well. And yeah, it kind of made the decision really easy.
Yeah.
No regrets.
Yeah, I'm interested in what they do to encourage that, or how does it manifest itself in the day-to-day experience? Or, you say you've got the social value sort of framework, but is there more to it than that?
There is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, as I say, there's a whole team dedicated to it now. Recruitment in 2020, they established a diversity, inclusion and belonging group to kind of foster that inclusive environment. And I guess the goal was that everyone felt valued and respected, had a sense of belonging, um, and that talent is evenly spread, but the opportunity isn't. So how do we as a practice and as a business help with that and assist with that and encourage our own design community to be richer and to have more varied experience within it? I guess the outreach programs that HLM are involved in are the kind of key starting points to that. I think it's really traditionally architecture, perhaps not so much interior design, but education within a built environment is really time consuming, which means expensive. And so that can often be inaccessible to some people. And it doesn't really promote diversity. You know, I don't know what the average cost to become an architect is, but I bet it's a lot.
It's a longer training period, isn't it? And
Yeah. Yeah.
and also, I guess that the other aspect that we've noticed in talking to some of the students is that creative careers are not often promoted in certain sectors of
Mm.
the community in the same way as maybe more business orientated. So it's
Yeah.
getting an understanding of the value of the career choice in the built environment. You know, there are good, solid
Mm.
careers available. As we know, we know many people in the industry and lots of people very successfully getting on with their lives, but it's often discounted at an early stage.
Yeah. Apparently, by the age of 7, children already have decided what they can't do.
Right.
So how do you change that for
Yes.
disadvantaged communities? And you know, I think the earlier that you lay those foundations of raising aspirations, you've got to kind of target in outreach much younger than you kind of suspect that you might, I guess.
Yeah.
And providing, you know, work experience placements to students from schools in low social mobility areas, all of that kind of helps towards opening up different opportunities and maybe changing perception of what you can achieve.
Yeah, definitely. There's a big target market, isn't there? And we're sort of aligning ourselves with the outreach programs which are aimed at schools, secondary school students. Well, God, if we're going to have to go into, below year 6,
Mm.
I can't imagine. I mean, I remember doing a few visits to my kids' school when I was on the PTA, and it was the assemblies were a bit high energy, and
I bet.
trying to get those kids to focus on interior design might be a bit of a challenge. But
I suppose if you've never met an interior designer and, you know, you're 7 years old, then how would you know that kind of or you've never met an architect or a
yes,
designer, then
yeah,
how do you even know that those professions exist, you know, and that they're achievable?
that's the challenge, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
raising awareness. So you are, as HLM, very generously sponsoring a ride. We're going to
Mhm.
be having a opening grand depart breakfast networking event on the 15th of May, which you're supporting,
Yep.
which is great. You're in Plymouth. We're leaving from Plymouth University, so it's nice and handy. But what was it about the initiative that attracted you? Obviously, it's thematically in line with what you're thinking, but what was your first thoughts when you heard about our plans?
Well, I think initially I um was unaware of United in Design, if I'm completely honest. And I think once I kind of dug a bit deeper and did a bit more research, I thought it was something that people should know more about, to be honest.
Yeah,
And I thought it was a really fun way. I thought the link to Clerkenwell, because lots of designers from this region know about Clerkenwell, or at least, at least know about it, but quite a lot of people attend as well. And I think the draw of that connection just sort of helps to promote that. And I think that um, United in Design play a fantastic role in kind of enriching the design community. And I think more people should know about it, to be honest. As you mentioned, it kind of really aligns with my sort of beliefs. And also for HLM as well, they thought it was a great opportunity to get involved.
I'm sure it's great to have you on board with the start of our ride, but we're also talking about some follow-up events in the future, which hopefully will put the, the sort of the action into, we'll put the words into action of setting up some outreach events in the Plymouth area. We haven't quite worked out the details of that, but hopefully folding in with University of Plymouth and a lot of the schools in the local area. So sort of closing the circle, if you like, of the whole thing. We're cycling to raise the money, and then the second phase is essentially to try and implement some things in Plymouth, but also further afield, so it's not just about, supporting the Southwest. We're hoping we can get some traction across the country,
Yeah, definitely. I think HLM, they're in total support of that. We signed up to an Opening Doors campaign where we can explore how we can improve and align ourselves with, different organisations. So we're partnering with organisations that support disadvantaged groups into work. And that's one of the key elements that we're keen to do. And I think this sponsorship and this support of the ride and United in Design as an organisation, just, it's right up our street, completely aligns.
So are you going to be joining us on a bit of the ride?
No. Well, I don't have a bike, Well, I do, but it's quite neglected. Disappointed.
That, we'll take your money. That's okay.
I'm going to give you a really great send-off. Bon voyage,
Oh, right, yeah.
Supporting you.
Yes, that's what we need.
Definitely.
Cycle into the distance. What kind of initiatives are HLM getting involved with?
There's, across the business, in different locations, in different regions, there are different initiatives which are partnered locally, but also kind of spread nationally, some of them as well. So in the Sheffield studio, they're working on, it's a board game called You're Hired. It's a care experience training initiative. So care experience young people, apparently, this is a shocking statistic, make up 1% of the population, but 50% of the prison population are care experienced, which is, it's pretty sad.
So their trajectory is not, the potential trajectory is not great for lots of.
And it's something that personally is very close to my heart. So I'm keen to I don't know enough and I want to learn more, but it's an initiative that our Sheffield studio have been looking into, this board game, which is co-created by Sheffield Council Voice and Influence team and Care Experience Young Adults. So they're sort of leading the initiative, and they've co-designed this immersive training experience, which is a toolbox of resources, of drawing on all the research that's gathered through discovery sessions and with peers and local employers and support professionals. So they've created this interactive training game for employers around care experience and how it impacts young people when they're first seeking employment, to help employers provide kind of meaningful placement opportunities and to help people thrive in the workplace. So kind of creating equal employment opportunities. It's just, it sounds fantastic. I'm kind of really in awe of some of the initiatives I think that's happening. We're also ambassadors, the See It, Be It programme, which creates opportunities for employers to visit schools and discuss career pathways. As we mentioned, the sooner the better. And then I think our Cardiff studio was volunteering across the Cityscapes Challenge, which is a nationwide Girl Guiding event. I think it was 11,000 participants were taking part across the UK, which I thought was fantastic. It's an architecture practice. We created an activity where the girls took design, role, brief and budget and bringing their designs to life in Lego. It's really simple concepts with fantastic results. And, it's important for us to champion STEM within young people and particularly young women, I think, in the built environment and design communities. Just inspiring the next generation, really, and just making sure that we take it to all communities. And I think those external relationships, in turn, full circle, really help HLM to broaden their understanding of the barriers that potential candidates can face as well. So helping, and then it really helps us to understand and make sure that, these fantastic designers that are out there, whatever their background and whatever their challenges or their needs are met, so we can get the best out of them, really.
I'd like to thank Kay for taking the time to speak to me, and also for her role in securing the sponsorship of our Grand Depart event as we leave the University of Plymouth on day one of our ride to London. Kay formed a pivotal role in the development of our interior design course at the University of Plymouth, and it's nice to see that those same themes and influences are part of her approach to how she works with HLM, and also deeply embedded within HLM's ethos and their commitment to social responsibility. Despite Kay leaving her teaching role, we are hoping to maintain contact with her through some of these outreach programs to help share her professional experience and knowledge for the benefit of prospective students who are considering a career in the built environment. If you've enjoyed the conversation, you can find out more about the Clerkenwheels ride, the route, the people involved and how to support the project at clerkenwheels.com. We'll be riding from the University of Plymouth to Clerkenwell Design Week, setting off on Friday the 15th of May and arriving at Clerkenwell Design Week on Tuesday the 19th of May. You can get involved in lots of ways: by donating, sponsoring, sharing the story, hosting a stop-off, or simply helping to amplify the message around inclusion and diversity in the built environment. You can also find links to United in Design, whose work this ride directly supports, helping to create clearer, fairer pathways into creative and spatial professions. I'd like to thank the team from United in Design for supporting our ride, Sophie, Ashby and Alex Dorley, and behind the scenes Eman Akbar, who's been working tirelessly to put things in place, Julianne Webster from Industry Publicity, who's helping us with the marketing and PR of our initiative, and Tom Bourne from Select First, my co-rider, for thinking up the idea, coming up with the name and keeping me motivated whilst I try to do my training. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, share it with someone who might enjoy it, and help these conversations reach further afield. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Sophie.